Yesterday I gave you the history of the seeking of human beings, how in 3 different lines we have been seeking. The first one, as I told you, on the right hand side, where they were doing something about exciting, awakening the deities of the elements. More in Greece and all these places they did these things much more than they did in India. Also in India we had the Vedas. In the Vedas, whatever they did was just to excite, or you can say awaken, the deities of the 5 elements. I think you all know what these 5 elements are. I need not tell about them. So this side that we see here is of action, which enacts through 5 elements. This side is the power, as I told you, is the power of desire, which is a power by which we are emotional. This emotional power is active as a desire power, and this power that is there, which is the Kundalini, is the desire with your spirit, which is not yet manifested. That's why it's a sleeping power and called as a residual power, because it has created the whole universe that is you and still is residual. In the center we have another power by which we have evolved. From our amoeba stage to this stage, whatever we have achieved is in our central nervous. So we have another system which is the achievement through our evolution. That is called as central nervous system. Whatever is in our central nervous system is the consciousness, is the present. So the right side one, as you see here, and the left hand side one are also 2 sympathetic nervous systems. This is the left sympathetic nervous system, this is the right sympathetic nervous system. But as you are subtle body, and in the gross we can say this is the left sympathetic nervous system, this is the right sympathetic nervous system, and this is the parasympathetic nervous system, and the central nervous system we have not shown here. Whatever you achieve as a human being is perhaps not properly understood also. Now you see, if you put an animal in a dirty place, he doesn't know what is dirty. He doesn't smell anything awful. He doesn't think it's something wrong. It can walk into any place. While for a human being it is unbearable. The achievement of our awareness as a human being is there, but is not complete, is not full. It has not reached its maximum or optimum, or we can say it has not got yet its own purpose. It has not reached its absolute value, and that's why future. The another problem is that when the man raised his head here, these 2 powers started working within him, creating 2 big institutions called ego and superego. And these institutions became like balloons, and they met on top of the head here, near the fontanelle bone area. Say about 12 years of age, the whole thing gets calcified. When it is calcified, you become the egg, you become separated, you develop your eyeless. Before that, you are not. Now an animal doesn't have a problem of ego. I mean, he doesn't have many problems. For example, he won't be bothered if your dollar has a problem. He won't understand about insurances. He won't understand so many problems that we have created for ourselves. But he doesn't have the possibility. He doesn't have the possibility to get realization in the first place. The possibility that once he gets realization, to know his spirit. Many people have asked me, what about animals? I said animals cannot get realization. They cannot. Even, say, if there's an animal, if you vibrate that, he may carry the vibrations. Even this chair can carry the vibrations. Even these flowers can carry the vibrations. They can have vibrations, but they are not aware. This difference we must understand very clearly, that they are not aware. That's why the people who have found out certain places as the places of worship, places of adoration, they are the people who are seers, who are realized souls, and they could feel the vibrations in that particular place, and that's how they selected those places for worship and other things. Now, for example, I went to Kashmir once with my husband, and we were going in the car. There were tremendous vibrations in the air, cool vibrations. And I told my driver, I said, there must be some temple or something here. He said, there's no temple, it's absolutely a place which is forlorn. But I said, must be about 2-3 miles area, there must be some place of worship of someone. Oh, he said, there is one. I said, which one? It's called as Hazrat Bal. That is, one hair of Muhammad is kept there. And people go to that place. Now, so many Muslims go to that place, they don't know why they go. Some people, my soul, must have told that this is the hair of Muhammad and that's why there are vibrations, so that hair is kept there. They have fought over it and done all kinds of things, but they don't know what they are doing. So when I went there, I saw lots of people were there, and they wouldn't allow us to go in because we are not Muslims according to them. But sitting down there, I could feel the vibrations of Muhammad. Only one hair of Muhammad. So you can imagine how powerful these vibrations are. Now, when we say that we should not worship, it is written that you should not worship anything that is reproduced and created by the Mother Earth and the heavens. Now, what is it? What is it created by the Mother Earth and by the heavens, which we should not reproduce? This nobody tried to find out. They think that you are not allowed to worship any form. It's all misinterpretation. It's completely misinterpretation. I'll tell you, there is in Paris a church called as, what is it called? Notre Dame. And the statue of Mary and Christ is so vibrating, from outside you can see the vibrations are coming out. Now, this must have been made by some very great artist who was a realized soul. For example, the Sistine Chapel in Rome has got a very beautiful frescoes of Christ and all that. And if you see that Christ, I mean, it's absolutely vibrating. But down big table on which they have put Christ, just bones, miserable creature, which is nowhere near Christ. I mean, it's impossible that Christ could be like that, so miserable, ugly looking, thin, worn out, hopeless case. How can he be Christ? I can't understand. He carried a complete, huge, big cross upon himself. Do you think these bones could have carried? And this was placed just below where in Sistine Chapel you find Christ standing. How can it be? We must understand. And all these miserable things have led to such problems, because people think that if you are seeking, you should look the most miserable person. If you are a realized soul, you should be skeleton. It's impossible to explain to them that how can it be? A person who is a realized soul never suffers. He never suffers. The other day, I'm covering this subject before coming to the chakras, because in these few days is that very absurd ideas are crawling upon here in America, where people start saying that Buddha said that you must suffer. How can he say like that? It's illogical, impossible. How can he say that we should suffer? Because when he saw suffering, you know the story, when he went out, he saw an old man, he saw a sick man, he saw a dead man, and the idea came into his head, suffering. And then he said, it is because they are ignorant, they should be enlightened, there should be enlightenment. And then he went round and searched, and ultimately he was tired. He was sitting down under a banyan tree, where he received his enlightenment, spontaneous. How can he say that you must suffer? The another myth among Christians is that you must suffer. Why should you suffer? Because Christ has suffered. Has he suffered or not? If he has suffered for you, then why should you suffer any more? Or has he left something for you to be done? Was he incomplete in his suffering? Did you want him to suffer more? Actually, this suffering business is the greatest nonsense that I have ever heard. The another side of the Christ is the Jews. They said that if you accept Christ, that if you accept Christ, then you will have to say that we have no suffering. So don't accept Christ. If you don't accept Christ, then we must suffer. All right? So you suffer. And they suffered in Germany, you know how they suffered. Now they have become ego-oriented. They are on the other side now. The shoe is on the other leg. All these mythical ideas about God, His incarnation, His aspects, is so man-made that it has become plastic, absolutely plastic. And I don't know how you are going to from the human brain. It is absolutely impossible to convince them that suffering has nothing to do with realized souls. Actually, suffering is there where you are lost in a tempest in the water, you are worried about getting engulfed. But if you are put on the boat, will you feel the suffering? If you are a Christian, if you are a realized soul, if you are really baptized, really, not by just putting your hand and I baptize you so and so in the name of, that has no meaning at all. It's just a drama. You dress up well, take the little baby there, she's dressed well and nobody knows anything what's happening and they just put the hand and you just accept it. This kind of baptism, of course not. But the real baptism, when the Kundalini rises from here, she goes up, here she awakens Christ. When he sucks these two things, ego and superego, meaning your conditioning and your karma, both the things, they are sucked in, and then the thing, there's an opening here, and the softness here on your head, just like a child. He said you have to be like little children to enter into the kingdom of God. Means what do the children have? They have a soft bone here. That's how it becomes. Actually, it should become physically. And you start feeling the cool breeze coming out of your head. So I wanted to clear you on this point, that there is no need for human beings to suffer. Only thing, they are to be born again. Now again, this is another very, very funny situation. Creating word is born again. When I came to America last time, everybody was trying to tape me. I mean, we had much more groups than we have here now. I don't know what has happened to them. They are all shifted, they are not here, God knows where they have gone in America, because all the time Americans are shifting. You see, they are not grahasthas, they are not householders. They are all the time shifting from places to places. It's impossible to lay hands on anyone. So somebody has gone to California, somebody has gone to Caracas, everybody has shifted, and I don't know where are they lost, whatever it is. Now, main thing is that when I came here, I told them that you are to be born again. You are to be a realized soul. Means actually I didn't mean that you go to some place and say that I am born again. That sort of a thing I never said. And the gentleman who had organized the program in Los Angeles, he was very anxious that, he said, Mother, don't allow anybody to tape your lectures. But I said, what's the harm? After all, what's the harm? He said, no, but they'll spread this. I said, very good. What do I want out of them? Is spread the news, all right. And they should get their realization, this is a fact, this is the truth, and what is the harm? After all, truth is truth. But I didn't realize that they were so stupid, that they started many organizations on that. You see, the vibration word came after that, and the born again. Now, they are born again, self-certified born agains. You find them anywhere. I met them in America, in Australia. They are born again. I said, how? They are born. I said, but how? What is your authority? Bible is our authority. I said, but that you are born again. You must be collectively conscious, isn't it? Something must take place. They are fanatics. These born agains are nothing but another prototype of Mr. Khomeini, nothing else. They are Khomeinis. All these fanatics are nothing but Khomeinis in different names, in different labels, but they are not born again. They are not realized souls, because a realized soul is collectively conscious. He is, I am saying to be, becomes. It is not just he says that I am born again. It's foolish and stupid to say like that I am something. Supposing tomorrow I start saying that I am the governor of this place, they will arrest me and put me in the lunatic asylum. That is how people have branded themselves. We are this and we are that and we are that. And another thing human beings have is to club. They always club together. You see, under any name they can club. Like in England, I met someone. He said, oh, they belong. I said, what is your group doing? He said, you see, we have our fork and spoons put in a different way. I said, for that they have formed another group. I said, really? Yes, you see, our fork and spoons are not the way they put it is in England. We have another group. I mean, any nonsense they will take up to form a club or to form a group or a cult or a sect, and then bring in God in between. You know, it is in the, God has given us this idea. Now, how did you get connected to God? It's going on. I mean, these sects and all these things, I just can't understand. God has created no sect, nothing. He has only created two types of human beings. One who are realized, one who are not. There's no third type. At the most you can say there are seekers and non-seekers. At that point where you can say those who are not realized. But I can't think of any other thing. I mean, God has created different type of faces. For example, somebody has, say, blonde hair, somebody has white skin, black skin. He had to do like that, otherwise we would have all looked like machines. Like these chairs that are here, we would have had no beauty about us, isn't it? There would have been no variety. It's such a boring thing to see all these chairs morning till evening. That's why he created this beauty. He made us so beautiful by giving us different permutations and combinations and things. It's such a work he has put in, while we are trying to become machine like bones, and we become sort of, as they call it, the work. You see, the work we become of God, which is absent. See, in the nature, if you see, even one leaf is not just the same like the other leaf. Even there, variety creates the beauty. And on this point also people are there. There might be leagues here for the red hair league and black hair league, or maybe any sort of any nonsensical thing they can use it. You can't to what extent they can go in forming a club, any sort of thing. And here we are to see that we are universally like this. Whether you have a black skin or a white skin, whether you have a bald head or a red head, you all have this thing inside you. All of you have got this universal thing within, except for the devils. If you are a human being, you all have this thing within you. Now when I say this to you, you need not accept me also, because there's all freedom in Sahaja. If you don't want to accept, don't deny. As a scientist, you must accept this hypothesis. Once you accept the hypothesis, you go ahead with it, see for yourself. If you get your realization, then see for yourself, go further and see about it. Now, as he said that people are saying here that we should get Shakti from anyone, everyone. Is another guru shopping business. See, I have seen people who sit down and see that how much money they can spend on their seeking. So they find out now if you have to go to X, you have to pay 200 and he's 100. Do I have in the bank? How will I balance it? Now, how many people I can go to? The idea is, as many things you can buy in the market in that little money is all, they sit down and plan it out. You see, this is not God. But they will be lost with me, because you can't just purchase it. You cannot. Neither you can buy it. Now, what to do now? Where do I fit in? Then I don't fit in, because there's, according to their planning, I don't fit in because I'm supposed to get some money out of it. funny, sort of a clownish behavior towards religion, that I was flabbergasted when I started seeing people here. I mean, I came here, no doubt, but I refused to come for 9 years. I said, no, these people only think of dollars, dollars, dollars. When are they going to think of God? How much money did Christ charge? You sold him for 30 rupees. You sold him. Did he charge any money? He lived. He had only 2 tunics to wear. He lived with that, but he was the king. Because such people do not care for anything. You see, nothing can make them tempted to. For such people, it's all right. If you make me sleep on the ground, it's all right. If you make me sleep in the palace, it's all right. For such people, they are kings, they are above all these things. You cannot lure them into anything. And that's what was before you, Christ. Christ came on this earth before me. I told you that what is important is your spirit. Look after your spirit. And you raised your churches and you raised all these buildings and all these places. Where is the spirit? The spirit is missing. We have to pay attention to our spirit. He has said it in many, many words, you are to be born again. He said it, you put me in your heart. All that was possible in that fisherman, he told. Of course, they have honestly quoted all that, but not all that what he said. Because he also lived only for 3-4 years there, and he was crucified. I mean, imagine the stupidity of people to crucify Christ. And I can tell you, if he comes to America today, you may crucify him. Why? Because anybody who cures in this country, he is prosecuted. Your legal side is so great, you don't know the divine laws, how they work. So let us forget about this one. You are all seekers, you are special people, you are chosen people, you are men of God. You are not men of the world. Accept your position. Have your self-esteem. You are not the people who are going to seek money and are going to judge God through money or through positions or anything. Like these people went to see the medias and they were only husband's position, imagine. But you are different. You are the seekers. You are the seekers of truth, and truth you cannot purchase. I'm telling you this because I feel people need some cracking on this point. You cannot purchase, you cannot have a course, you cannot demand it. It has to work out. It's a happening. It's a living happening. Living process of a living God. Christ has said how many times this word living? Which is living is here. By going to anybody, you can get any number of spirits. By paying to them, you can purchase nothing but spirit and your lunacy. You can get epilepsy by paying money. You can get heart attacks. You can get your blood cancers, and you can get also some horrible types of diseases, which I have seen people are getting with these horrible Shaktipat people. One has to know, once you become the spirit, you become marvelous. Your health must improve. Everything must improve. So today we are here on the chakras. I've given you the introduction because you will see why you improve in health. Why there has to be improvement in health when the Kundalini rises. Now at the very outset, I will tell you one thing very important, which should not really shock you. The fact that this one is the first center called as Muladhara Chakra. Now the word Muladhara means, Mula means the root. Adhara means the support. So this is the support of the root. The root is this Kundalini. And this is the support of the Kundalini. And this is the chakra which is bestowed upon by a deity called Sri Ganesha, who is the embodiment of. It is the same deity born at this time as Christ. Now one should know that this chakra in the gross controls the pelvic plexus. I don't know how many of you are doctors here, but pelvic plexus also had sub-plexuses which are 4 in number, and they control all our excretory functions, including sex. Now if you see it clearly, it is placed below the Kundalini because it is innocent. In the mud of excretion is put the innocence because he is innocent. A child doesn't understand sex, does he? He is the eternal child. Ganesha is the eternal child. Christ is an eternal innocence. He doesn't understand sex, nor can he marry anyone. All these ideas of Christ marrying, I mean, how can you marry a little child? He doesn't develop ego like human beings do. And that's why the head of the child is that of an elephant, because elephant is a very, very wise animal, and there is a story about it, but that I will tell you later on. To show that the person who is bestowing, or we can see the king who is enthroned here, is the one who is a child. His ego, superego do not need I-ness. This is what was the meaning of this. In this center he resides, but that shows one thing very clearly, that sex has nothing to do with your realization. Kundalini is above it. Only this center informs that somebody is there before you who is authorized to do the job, or who is there, who has got the authority which is emitting for that person. How the Kundalini rises. Just like sprouting of the seed. Just like sprouting of the seed. This is the primule, you can say, of the seed which rises, but the information comes through this in here, that there is somebody who is an authority, divine authority. Authority word is very, very aggressive. Divine authority is very loving. And such a person is there, and the Kundalini rises immediately. Now the Kundalini awakening takes place. So the first and foremost thing we have to know, that sex plays no part in Kundalini awakening. People go and learn sex behavior from animals. Now are you going to become animals? What is there to learn in sex? I don't understand. The knowledge is already there. In India, nobody talks of sex the way you talk. We are producing much more children than you are producing. Also, there is another reason. As I told you yesterday, they want to be born in Western countries because they are killed, they are harmed, they are tortured. But in India, even a person may have 12 children, he will love the children. That may be another reason we are facing that. But one of them is that they know about sex quite all right, and they don't have children which we can call as illegitimate children. Very few in India illegitimate children are. Very few people divorce. I mean, they live happily. All the science you have developed of your marriage, what have you got? A divorced people. They are in the orphanage, and the old people are also in the orphanage. 10 husbands marry 10 wives, and they are planted in orphanages. No family system, nothing. So one has to understand that sex is placed here and is to be respected as a function, and as a private function, especially to be sanctified by the public. For example, excretion of any kind is not sanctioned. For example, it has not been sanctioned that you go and do something on the street. You will be arrested, isn't it? So whatever is not sanctioned to you, if you do like that, because you think you have got your liberties to do it, you will be definitely arrested and will be troubled. And we can see it in nature also, that if you do all these things, you develop horrible disease. I was seeing the statistics of the American youth, and I was amazed that 65% people from 25 to 40 years have some sort of a disease which is a secret disease, which is an ugly disease. What a jarring thing it is. Just think of it. If you go through the statistics, you see, either they suffer from impotency or they suffer from horrible diseases which are supposed to be incurable of the sex organ. If your liberation, so-called, means license, nature would have been kinder to you, but it is not. Apart from anything else, we have got Christ before us. Let's see what Christ has to say. He said, thou shalt not have adultery, said, but I say thou shalt not have adulterous eyes. See what a powerful statement it is, because it's there near the eyes. Not only the adultery part, but even the eyes. And you see here people have their eyes roving all over like that. They must see every woman who's passing, every woman must see every man who's passing. I don't know what are they doing, wasting their attention. He has said it so clearly, even in the church when they are sitting, when they are trying to worship Christ, they are doing nothing but flirting. Have we no respect for ourselves? First purification point comes here. The first purification comes here. Let us face it. Of course, you will be purified when the Kundalini rises. But I must tell you, when this center is catching, the Kundalini is sucked back. One has to raise it again and again and again and again and again and again to establish realization. You can become a very dry person or over-sexy person. It can be any perversion, or you can be all sorts of perversions. I really don't even understand a man becomes a woman and a woman becomes a man and this and that position. All sorts of nonsensical things. Dog becomes a man. And I just can't understand how you are going mad with hither and thither all over the places. I mean, I really don't understand. I was so shocked. I never knew that such things exist in this world, that human beings have gone to that limit of nonsense. Books have been written about it. I met two ladies in Basel, very near the German border. These two ladies who came to me were horrid, absolutely horrid. And this one was there and was shaking before me and all sorts of. And I asked her, what do you do? Oh, we are very qualified. I said, how? We have done all the sophisticated methods of Freud. I said, really? Now you have surpassed him or what? I could not give them realization. I mean, the way you have taken Freud seriously, Christ is absolutely blurred out of your family. Christ is only for a cross to be borne, that's all. But that far, nothing beyond. And cross is not the message of Christ. It's a resurrection. You are to be resurrected. He got his resurrection that you can be resurrected. And how are we to resurrect when we have indulged so much into the nonsense of this? But still, I must tell you, I must confess that the grace of God has poured all its kindness now. Really, I tell you, any type of thing is really forgiven. All sins and blasphemy and all that is forgiven, and you really get your realization. I have seen people who are described as one of the worst of all. They get that realization, and that's how they get their transformation and transmutation. It's surprising how it's working. It has to work because the creation is to be saved. It is He who is worried about His creation rather than we are worried. So the first chakra I have told you about has got four, we call them petals, in Sanskrit language, petals. And these petals have four. Now, when we go to Kundalini, it has got 3.5 coils. Kundalini is placed there in 3.5 coil. 3.5 coil has a special meaning, and it is a mathematical calculation. 3.5 is a mathematical calculation, and if you happen to read one of my, I think in the Advent, I don't know if it's discussed it or not, but it's a mathematical calculation which has got 7. Actually, if you see that it makes 7. If you push it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if you draw a straight vertical line. And this is also principle is used in our automatic watches. The spring that we use is a spiral which has 3.5 coils. It's a mathematical coefficient that works out. Now this Kundalini is placed in the sacrum bone, called as sacrum. That means Greek knew that it was a sacred bone, and it is said that when the body burns, this bone doesn't burn. It remains. Unless and until terrible acid and all, it does not burn. And it is a sacred bone. Now, then, I mean, on Kundalini, if I have to speak, I must have spoken at least for hours. But we are now going like an introduction to all these chakras, all right? And later on, you get my tapes from England, and you can go through them and see for yourself how this Kundalini is a tape recorder within us. She tapes everything, and she has got all the what you have done, where you have been. As soon as the Kundalini rises, you get the information on the fingers. The realized souls get the information on the fingers. She gives information. He's catching there, he's catching here, this is the problem, and this is to be corrected. I have seen people have got Kundalinis. You'll be amazed. So wounded. So many holes. It's just trying to rise, It's absolutely desperate. It spreads its head this side, that side. It cannot rise. Just out limp down, and it wants help. If this chakra is catching or this chakra is catching, then you find a big pulsation in that area. I mean, you will see terrible pulsation, just like a heart. You can see with it. But this chakra, if it's catching, especially on the left side, means that a person is possessed, unauthorized. Person has put some possession into him. Such a person gets especially this pulsation, very strong. You can see it very clearly, this pulsation, in people who have got a catch. In the way this Swadhisthana chakra got up on the left-hand side, you get it. The nearer it is, the worse it is. It starts pulsating because it is trying to push itself. It wants to get out of the barrier, and that's why it makes a tremendous effort to come out. But it does not. And then it sets back again, and again it tries. And I have seen that unless and until you clear this chakra. Now when you come to this chakra, which is the second, as we said, why we say said, because this is connected with this, like we can say a stalk of a lotus. Now this chakra is the chakra of our seeking, navel chakra. It's called as Navi chakra. This center is responsible for our evolution up till now. Like from amoeba to because of the power of this center. And this center is occupied by the father figure, whom we call as Narayana. Lakshmi Narayana is the father aspect of God. Now, one can say there is only one God. Yes, there is only one God. No doubt, there is only one God. There are not many gods. But God, who is one, has many aspects. Like you can be a doctor, you can be a husband, you can be a father, you could be a son. Now you can't say there's only one man. God is not like Rock of Gibraltar, that he has no other aspects. But even Rock of Gibraltar, if you go and study, it has got different cells of which it is made. So God has different aspects, and in those different aspects he acts differently. There's only one God who does this, but his aspects are different. Now the first aspect of God is the desire of God that he wants to create. This desire is represented by this power of his. The God is here, by which he wants, he creates, he acts and creates. He is the creator on this side. Now the central one is the aspect of God, which is the Father, which is the one which tries to evolve, improves his image on the reflectors that he has created. These are the three functions and three aspects of God. Now this aspect is the aspect of the Spirit. Here we say that the Spirit exists all the time. It is changeless, it is eternal, and it does not incarnate, in the sense that that aspect, which is the aspect of a witness, does not incarnate. That's the God Almighty, we can say, is called as Sadashiva in Sanskrit language. This aspect of God does not incarnate. He never incarnates. But his power is the Adi Shakti, is the primordial mother, is the power, the primordial Shakti, is the one that creates this whole thing. She first creates the left side, and then the right side, and then the central side. These are the three powers this primordial power has got. And then she puts this Kundalini down there. When you become a human being, it rises and makes you aware of that all-pervading power, which is the school dress, which you start feeling. So the witness, the witness is the Spirit. He is Satchidanand, means he is the truth, he is the attention, and he is the joy. When you get your realization, your attention becomes enlightened. Your attention becomes enlightened. How? That I can tell you, there's someone here who is one of the first yogis we had. When he got his realization, he asked me whether my father had not spoken to me on the stage. I said, you can feel it. Just what he just put his hands like this. And he got a burning here. These are the centers of your father. I said, this one, that means something is wrong with him in the throat. Maybe he is down with bronchitis of a serious type because it was burning. He telephoned to Scotland, and the person answered was his mother, and she told in the same language, same sentence, that he is down with very bad bronchitis. You can even cure him sitting down. You can, because you are enlightened. Your attention is enlightened. Enlightened is not the enlightenment means that when you are enlightened with the divine light, in the real sense, not these artificial ones, then your attention starts acting. It starts working out. It starts cooperating, coordinating, it's the telecommunication and everything. Apart from that, it loves. And this all-pervading power you have to become. Actually, we do not know, we are not aware of this. We do not know that there is all power around us, that this all-pervading power. We are not at all aware of this. It's like I say there is all music going on here and a drama going on here. You won't believe me. Till I put the television, oh, you say, yes, it is there. In the same way, unless and until you are put to the mains, you cannot feel that all-pervading power. And that is the truth. The rest is all just a falsehood. It's fake. That's the only thing that is the truth, is the all-pervading power. That all-pervading power relates to you is the truth. Like when you have that, you ask a question, is there God? You will get tremendous flow on your hand. But if you ask about a horrid person who is not a guru, but is a fake person, immediately the vibrations will stop. Not only that, sometimes it may burn, it may even give you blisters, if you just ask the question. It is so surprising, it is so simple, that once you jump into it, the all-pervading power through you, and you become the vehicle of that power and the master of it. Whatever way you want, you can maneuver it. You can know now, for this gentleman has got the left side problem. How did I know? I could feel it within myself. Now, if you put your left hand towards a person who is a realized soul or who has the power, and put your right hand outside, the whole thing will be cleared out. Aren't you better now? You'll be much more comfortable. It will go on. It has to go away because the connection is established. Now the thing is flowing in, and it's just like electricity flowing out. It's so simple. It's so simple. To you, this electricity looks very simple because your forefathers have worked for it and they have brought it down here. To you, it is just switching on the light. But how many lives have been lost for this? How much mechanism is there? What an organization is there? Everything is there. But to you, it is just switch on. That's all. Finished. It's so simple. So to look at it may look simple, but it's a tremendous organization. Imagine these centers are built within us with our evolution. This is the center of when we were just carbon, up to carbon point. Carbon also is tetravalent. This is also tetravalent. Till we were carbon. Carbon is a very pivotal element in all the elements, if you see the position of carbon. Because when carbon started, then only life started coming. And this is how we are here up to the carbon point. After that we become human beings, we start, life. Now we grew into 7 stages. We grew into, definitely we say 10 stages, out of which 8 stages brought us up to human level. Now, as I told you, this is the center of creativity. Means it creates all the stars and everything within us. It creates all the galaxies and all those things within us, and is also responsible for looking after our left side psyche and the right side creativity. Say, if there is an artist with us, you will find his right side Swadhisthana. This is the Swadhisthana which denotes, you can see. Immediately you will find that he is an artist. Immediately you will find that he is giving you hot vibrations on this part. Means he is an artist, or maybe he has used it too much. A person who is a speaker or a writer and all that, who has used his creative power too much on the right hand side, gives you this feeling. The one who has used the left side psyche, like people who have been psyche, it is a psychologist, a person who is a psychologist, who is studying psychology. I mean, psychology cannot be studied by people who are not realized souls. They should not. They do not know how they are harmed by tampering with other psyche. They do not know how to protect themselves. For a doctor may tie up something to save himself from infections. But a psychologist does not know how he is harmed. Even if you live with a mad person, or if you go to a lunatic asylum, you catch from that. So your left side gets caught up, and you find that left side starts working in such a manner that you develop all left side problems. Left side problems are depression, epilepsy, leading to all kinds of modern pressures, as they call it, guilt and diffidence, suicide, could be lunacy. All those things come from your left side. And last of all, cancer. Cancer is caused by the left side problem. Right side problem. Actually, as a reaction of the right side, if you are too active all the time you are thinking, because this center does another very important one. It changes, transforms your fat into the cells for the use of your brain, which is using it for thinking. So it goes into tremendous action when you start planning. I mean, here I have seen people plan too much, till they say all set. See, you start from the home, they start planning. There is no need to understand what is the need to plan to that extent. I mean, you are going on the road. There is no need to plan at all. You have to work it out at the present moment. For example, supposing I have to book a ticket, then that is done to be done today. Then what is the planning? That on the 8th I will book. What is the need to say that beforehand? I mean, when it will come to 8th, you book it. But they go on like this, and ultimately all plans fail. Everything fails. You go to a place, for example, you don't know. If you say, all right, we'll go to the right. Maybe there is no road on the right, so are you going to fall into the ditch because you have planned it beforehand that I will go to the right? You must leave it open. And the same about Kundalini, because when the Kundalini rises, it's like a car that has started, it moves, it moves, it moves. Supposing it has stopped here. And somebody gives you a mantra for this one. You will spoil this one as well as this is already spoiled. So you will have a double problem. Because you are saying mantra with this one, of course any mantra you say, you spoil this in any case. Apart from that, you have no connection, nothing, you are not yet realized soul, and you are taking somebody's name like that. For example, Rama's mantra is Rama is here. Many people say Rama's mantra and they have a problem with this. They can get asthma physically. Oh, I'm saying Rama's mantra, but I've got asthma. What else? I mean, you must get it. If you have asthma, I'll ask you, did you say Rama's mantra in India? Absolutely, it goes hand in hand, because Rama is stationed here. Now, if you have to take his name, there should be some protocol. What is your authority? Why are you taking Rama's name? Supposing I start taking the name of your president in his house, go there and start shouting, oh, president, whatever his name is, I start shouting his name. I'll be arrested or not? Or maybe at that time when you are shouting Rama's name, maybe some servant with the name of Rama who has died will think that there's a call for me, may come and enter into your being. Mostly it happens. You have no connection with Rama himself. With Sri Rama you have no connection. So some Rama who is working in your house and has died, or someone with that thing, or maybe around somewhere in the atmosphere, these busy bodies, anybody can enter into and you can get possessed and you can get disaster. This right side problem is very common with people who are suffering from this trouble. And this trouble comes to you because you try to be very individualistic. Like, if you are married, you don't want to create good relationship. Can you ask him to go down? He's distracting everyone. Right? Can you ask him to come to the tomorrow, day after tomorrow, to our place where I will treat him? All right? You can sit there also. All right? I'll cure him tomorrow or after the program. I'll try. The thing is moving in him, you see, from places to places, and one has to take me. There are so many here. I've seen so many, such strange people I've met on the street, such strange people. There are so many, I mean, I don't know what is the percentage of lunatics in this country, but schizophrenic and all sorts of people, I mean, you can't say, I mean, just see, every third person I came across has some sort of a funny thing going on in his head. I said, now what is it? This is the country which is invaded the most by these negative forces. And if you are going to be destroyed, you are going to be destroyed from outside. You will not be destroyed from outside. Take it from me. You will be destroyed from inside. And that you can see what's happening. All kinds of destructive forces are working it out. And the worst of all, these horrible gurus who have come from India. You people had invasion on India. English had their political invasion. You had your monetary invasion on India. So all these horrible people are having a mental invasion on you. You are not aware of it. Invasion on. Very subtle mental invasion which you cannot discern. You are enslaved. As we were enslaved by you for money. You see, for wheat, if they send horrible wheat to India, Americans used to say, oh, we have been very gracious. The wheat was so horrible that we could not eat. We threw it on the ground. Imagine, we threw it on the ground and horrible types of what you call acacia plants grew. We cannot destroy them. And then another type of grass which we call as Congress grass, you see, because it came from Congress grass, grew all over and it covered all over crops and everything. And we didn't know why were you so kind to us to send all this. Somehow it was destroyed then, this grass, but still this horrible acacia is covering all the villages in India. People are having a terrible time, they are poisonous, and if they hit you, you see, you are killed. And children play around, it's a very dangerous thing. I mean, if they wanted to send wheat, there should have been something more gracious than what they have been doing. This is how you have been very, very unpopular all over the world. Try to help anyone, you think, oh, you are doing too much. While India has helped you so many ways. First of all, it has helped you when you had wars. We sent Indian troops and all that all over. We never tried to show anything like that. You see, it is surprising how these developed nations are so ego-oriented, so ego-oriented. I mean, so many things they have done. that I cannot understand how human beings are not afraid of God and His wrath that can come on us. We have oppressed all the people who are already oppressed. We have tried to really clutch them for time for you people who are born in this country, who are special people born. You are very, very special. In America, we are the maximum number of race. You would not know. It is for you to rise above all these nonsensical things and get over it and join your hands in solving the problems of these worldly things which has really oppressed the whole universe. And I really depended very much on you people. I came 9 years back. That the aggression is still bubbling in. They cannot see things, and that's how these gurus take advantage of it. They took advantage of it. They came here, all right, you have got money, pamper your ego, you can purchase us. They pampered your ego, you thought you can pay for them, you paid for them. And what did you get out of it? Is nothing but all these horrible things out of which it is very difficult to get out. Apart from that, many might have lost the chances of self-realization. You are absolutely special people to be born in this country with a very, very special purpose. Because I told you that you are born in this place. This is America. What a place it is. I mean, you had great people like Abraham Lincoln. Great people like him. What a man he was you had. You have forgotten completely his ideals and things. I mean, what a man Abraham Lincoln. I mean, if I read about anyone in the beginning was Abraham Lincoln. I said, look at him. He was a realized soul. His ideas and all that are gone off. Now, it is for you to establish for what you have to. God has created this America, this chakra of Vishnu. And this is what is starting from here that you rise up to there. The connection is that this seeking goes in developing, and there are 10 principles which are described as the 10 commandments, you can say, or we have got 10 sutras. In Sanskrit language, they are called as 10 sutras. Gandhiji put one more, use only Indian things, not foreign things, because then they will dominate us. So he put Ekadasha, he put one more, but there are 10 which are here, which are described as 10 commandments in the Bible. And these are the 10 primordial masters who were born on this earth. So we can start from Socrates, then we can think of other, in India was Dattatreya, Dattatreya is the essence, and he is born as Lao Tse, he is born as Abraham, as Moses, he is born as, up till now we can say, Muhammad Shah, Nanaka, latest is the Sainath of Shirdi. He is the one who represents, they all represent this primordial master's principle of religion. Religion means the one that sustains us. These 10 are our sustainers. That's our valency, is our quality. Like this gold has a quality that is, it is untarnishable. In the same way, human beings have these 10 qualities in them. For a dog doesn't know what is truth and what is untruth. Dog doesn't know what is violence and non-violence. It's the human being who knows these 10 things. And these are the qualities, 10 qualities, which are sustained by the primordial master, who is the Tattva, has incarnated on this earth basically 10 times. But there are so many Upagurus, as they call, the subsequent gurus also, who are realized souls. Now, at the time of Christ, John the Baptist, I mean, he was a real Baptist. He was not an untrue Baptist. He was a realized soul. Nowadays, everybody is a Baptist without being the real Baptist. You have to be the real Baptist. When you are a realized soul, only then you are a real Baptist, not before that. And this special thing, as the primordial master, is also within you. You can become your own guru. Your guru principle is to be awakened. If the Kundalini awakens your guru principle, you become the guru. You have to become your own guru. On the left side is the diffidence that you cannot be a guru. On the right side is the arrogance. And that's how sometimes we subject ourselves to others, say that you are my guru. And here we are arrogant. When we see a real guru, we deny. So these two sides are to be seen, and once you work it out, for example, this gentleman who was here has a left side. Is a diffidence in him. Please come in. Here. Huh? All right. May God bless. All right. So left side is the one that gives you that diffidence, and you subject yourself to other gurus. And you can see on your left side void. This is the, you can feel it on the left side void, a burning sensation. And this is a sign that you have been to some guru who has been wrong, who has not a realized soul, who is a wrong type of man. Immediately you can make out from the person whether he has been to a right type of a guru or a bad type. If he has been to the right type, you get your realization just like that. You are just ready for it. He doesn't spoil your chakras, nothing. He doesn't give you false ideas, and you are just ready. But he has done very great work is to establish this part in yourself. That's why Abraham, all of them talked about alcoholism, about these things, because alcohol spoils the liver. Christ did not. He was born at that time, so he talked about the eyes. He talked about the realization. He talked about the gate, the door. And that's why he said you must get your resurrection. So the different aspects came at different time. And this aspect of the primordial master, which was Moses, we can say Abraham, and other people of the same type, they came to establish balance. Here they have not shown two other subsidiary chakras. One is the chakra of the sun, another is of the moon. This is the moon line and this is the sun line. Now this center they should have shown here, I think, which means that when you are on the sun line, you become right-handed. Right-handed means you are more projecting towards the future, you are thinking too much, or you are putting too much attention to your physical being and not to your spirit, not to your emotional sense. Now to the asceticism and all sorts of nonsense like that, become an ascetic, give up this, give up that, and you give up actually your brain, nothing else. You become a thin person, you start moving like this and develop a horrible liver. See, this liver may extend up to this. Now liver is one of the very, very special organs we have got within ourselves. I mean, you would not know if you have a bad liver till you get to cirrhosis, where they will say that now, last time has come, you arrange for your funeral. That's what it is. Liver is like that. Bad, till you do not know. But in Sahaja Yoga, immediately you will know you have a liver problem. And you will also know how to cure it. And liver is responsible for our attention, which is so important. If your liver is not all right, your attention will be horrid. All the time you will be feeling sick, frustrated, embittered. You wouldn't like this, you wouldn't like that, sort of a person, always annoyed. And you would not know why I do like this. I don't want to do it, but why am I doing like this? So this is the one has to look after. But when you think too much, as I told you, center of Swadhisthana, which is bestowed upon by Brahmadeva, who is the creator, works too hard. And it has no time to look after the other things like the liver, the pancreas, the spleen, the kidneys, and the uterus. So these things get completely neglected. And that's how the people who think too much always get diabetes. So in Sahaja Yoga, diabetes is curable. Hemiplegia and all those things and anemia are the cause of the same thing. Such people can become so very dry, very, very dry, because their left side goes absolutely out of order, is sleeping. They become emotionless. I have known people, they came to tell me, Mother, I have no emotions now, I have become a great saint, I have no emotions. Who has told you? I mean, a saint has such emotions, you can't imagine. It's such a feeling. I mean, if somebody says that he is a saint and he has no emotions, you throw him in the sea. He's good for nothing. Who has no emotions is not a human being. He's worse than an animal. And if you see a saint, the difference is only this, that If you feel pain, then you start weeping and becoming emotional. But a saint is the other way down. When he sees others in pain, then the compassion fills him completely. When he sees others in trouble, when he sees others drowning, then the compassion starts flowing from his eyes. And you can see from those eyes. Absolutely the same terrific eyes become so compassionate that you are surprised at how this love is flowing. And at the same time he can take a hunter in his hand and hit people. At the same time he can be very wrathful with people who try to destroy the saints. He can be extremely wrathful, and he can be very, 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 very dynamic. He can be anything, but he uses it for the purpose of one thing, is to save the saints and to make them the spirit. Only concern is how to make them the spirit, and for that, how to save them. For that, whatever it has to do. Sometimes it can act like a tigress. Just jump on people who try to be injurious or try to be sort of harmful to the children of the tigress. Or it can become so mild. I don't know if you have seen a crocodile giving bath to her children. Her eyes become absolutely so mild. And it's like that. That love starts. Person is a saint, and he becomes a realized soul that he feels for others, not for him. What he needs, I must have this, that all nonsense. Never comes in the mind. What matters is, oh God, what's happening to these people? These are my children. They are seekers, they are saints, they have been seeking for thousands of years. How am I to say? And such people who are dry, they end up, and another is paralyzed. I mean, you should never have sympathy for people who have arthritis. Tell them to be more loving. Spend some time with your wife. Spend some time with your children. You see, mostly these busy people and those who are at the helm of affairs who think that the whole world will be drowned without them. Actually, with them it may be drowned. I don't know what that part is. Such very busy people, you see, who have no time to waste in a family and who are holding some sort of a great thing so-called. They always get heart attacks and die. If they are not shot off, they get their own heart attacks and die. They can get even epilepsy, but it's not actually the epilepsy. It looks like epilepsy, but it is a kind of a failure of the part of the head which is on this side, the ego. And a person can get paralyzed, become absolutely without any sensation in his body. These people, till they die, they are very alert. Their brain is very alert, despite the fact they have used their brain. Actually, the nature is very balanced. They have used their brain. With their brain only they have achieved whatever they wanted to, but their brain is alert, but their heart goes up, the balance comes. But if you have used your heart too much, the left side as you do, too much of crying and weeping and this and that, you become, on the contrary, your heart going up, your brain goes up. The balance is established. It's surprising that people said that in the mental hospital, no use having a cardiogram. There's no need because you don't need it. Their heart is perfect. While they use their heart all the time, the brain goes up. And you become a brainless person or a gaga person and all sorts of things that you call it. So one has to understand that the balance is brought about by this position, and that keep in the center. Do not go to extremes. When you go into extremes, this moves in the center. Supposing you are a thinker and you plan everything and you're meticulous and this and that, you are thrown on the right. Now the extreme phase of this would create a very egoistical supraconscious spirituality. The one who we can cite was Mr. Hitler. Mr. Hitler was nothing else but a person who lived in the collective supraconscious, and he charmed collective consciousness. collective supraconsciousness. What he did is to talk so big and so nonsensical things. If you read his lectures, you'll be amazed. That he said that we are the Germans, we are the special race, we are this, and we should kill all these people. And people believed it. It was just a position, a collective position. I mean, if you talk to those Germans, now I read some articles written by them, and really they can't understand. They said we were young people, we were studying, we were very good people, and suddenly all this came up to us, and he built us up as some sort of a martyr and all that, and we took to it. They made it such a big religious stuff, I mean a fanatic thing in their heads, that they accepted it. This is the extreme case of fanaticism. All the fanatics are on the side. All of them are on the side. Any fanatic who says, I am this, keep away from them. They are headaches, they are bores, numbering bores. You just can't talk to them. All the fanatics of the world, if they were bores, it's much beyond that. Like you see, Khomeini is there, is a good example of fanatics. And I'm happy that Americans had a little experience of the fanatics. All fanatics, Catholics, the so-called Lutherans and the so-called Pentecostals, nothing but they are all possessed people, especially the Pentecostals are possessed. Can't you see them? They are recluses, they are useless people, they are vapours. All the spiritualists, they could be right-sided or left-sided. LSD takes you to the right side because you start seeing the lights and all those hallucinations which are of the supraconscious. Left-sided people who are there, they get into, they're all the time crying, weeping, diffident, sly-type, intriguers, they are on the left-hand side. But if you move too much on the side, then you can also get possessed. You can get very badly possessed. This movement is very painful. It's painful to the person because they aggress on the person. But if you have this type of movement on the right hand side, then you aggress on it. Because this is done with the ego and this is done with the soul. So the person who has a left side problem is better in a society because he's troubled himself and he needs his own cure and he's not a problem. But a person who is the egoist is such a problem that he doesn't see others and he gives pain to others. He talks in such a way that he hurts and he has a very bad right to be, and everything he does, all aggressiveness, all war and all these things are a right side. And such a man can become very successful like Hitler, but ultimately he beats the room and nobody respects such a person ultimately. See, everything afterwards the history tells about the dirty things he was doing, the sly things he was doing, or the bad things he was doing, how many he has to take. Everything comes out in the history and he is just put into the light of history and he starts seeing that this man who was supposed to be so successful, oh God, we do not want. One of the surgeons who came to me, he told me, he's a French, he said, Mother, please tell me if I was Napoleon. If I was, don't tell me because then I will die. I said, what? He said, I feel that I'm very egoistical. After realization, I find my ego is like this and I toggle like that. And I'm doing wrong. So if I was Napoleon, don't tell me. If I was, don't tell me I will really commit suicide. And in French people, if you call somebody a Napoleon, it's an abuse. You can imagine Napoleon the Great is being used as an abuse. So this is the thing that one has to understand, that ego-oriented person is over-disciplined, military life. He may not drink, smoke, you see. He may walk straight like a stick, but he's not good. The other one might be indulging in things and he might be drinking too much, and all the drunkards you find are on the left hand side. Poor thing, they start with a small thing. When they started with a small thing, they are driven onto this extreme. Then they get caught up. Alcoholics are really not that they drink. There's some spirit in them, that's it. I met last time a lady from Cuba. She was a petite woman, small, thin woman. And her husband came and told me that she can take one whiskey bottle neat. I said, this little woman, how does she do it? He said, she does. Mother, she said, yes, mother, I do. I put her a bundle and I found a horrible big personality in her, horribly tall and very hefty. She said, mother, did you see that one? I said, yes, I did. He said, it is he who brings an ambulance. She could see him. Such people who are on the left side can see the spirits and things walking in, and they get all kinds of ESP experiences, and I get a hunch and all sorts of things. It's little movement that side. On the right-sided people also can have such hunches as to what to do and how to do it and what will happen. They get all kinds of hunches. There are people who are getting photographs of such people. One gentleman showed me some photographs which in an organization in Crete, it's a lady, she showed me, is taking out the photographs of all the horrible kings of India. As if they were dead on their faces. It was surprising. It was surprising. And now, thank God, that organization is not getting any information. But it was a horrible photographs in your house. You also get bad vibrations. You might get their spirits coming into it. In BBC the other day, we saw a film where a man was possessed by a spirit of Van Gogh. I hope you know him. Van Gogh, he was a painter who paints in one line many colors like that. See? And this fellow was doing, actually when we saw with our own eyes, he was painting just like Van Gogh. And he said, I'm Van Gogh who's doing this job. So all such things happen when you are on the left side, could be on the right side for some artist. But this you can only find out with vibration, this side vibration. Now I've told you why we have to have dharma, why we have to have 10 commandments, why we should be in our sustenance, so that we keep to the middle path of Sushumna, this center, path of our evolution, and not deviate too much to this side and not deviate too much to that side. That's the reason we have to have religion. But all religions have become fanatics. They are fanatics. So they are absolutely on the contrary, they have created so many sects and so many fightings that one can't handle sects. Now these great incarnations that come on this earth, they all have come as one aspect. Christ has said, those who are not against me will see. Who are those who are not against him? You didn't even allow him to talk. He had to fight for everyday life. Same thing you did to Mamata, same thing you did to all the saints who came up. It's not only Christ, you see the life of Socrates, the life of everyone who was like this. We had Sainath in India, about only 100 years back, he must have died, only 100 years back. But if you see his life was a struggle, nobody would listen to it. At least there are some people here who listen to me, but Sainath had about 3 or 4 disciples, that's all. That is a sign that I must be a true teacher, because if you have too much, that means you are all mesmerized, and 50,000 people are sitting there, and somebody is throwing a red color through a cannon, and they are all like mad. This is called realization. This is spirituality. You are not to be mad people. You have to be aware, and especially alert. You become really aware, which is enlightened. Your awareness has to be enlightened. You have to become that, not to be like sheep, goaded into any place, taken away anywhere. No, not that. So we have to awaken ourselves. We have to brighten ourselves and understand our responsibility. And we have to know that we are saints. We have come here to become our spirit, and the responsibility is on the people of America. American saints have the greatest responsibility. Though Sahaja Yoga has prospered so much in Australia, no surprise. You condemn them as criminals. They went down there, they had children, grandchildren, and they have much less ego, much more wisdom. And that is the center of Mooladhara. That is the first set. Australia is the first set. And people are so wild. You won't believe, there was not even a seat left when I went there, and thousands of people, the media was so sensible and so wise. There are 7 cities, and all the 7 cities have got centers in surgery. Just like villages in India, they are so wide. As villagers in India are wide, they are that wide. And I don't know what to say. The persons who are supposed to be the complete vision here at this point to be the witness, to be the 16th. Can you see here, sub 16? And I'll talk about it next time. Because I have told you about this center of Rama, and then I'll tell you about all these centers tomorrow and about. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Now if you have any questions, you ask.
Anyone have any question?
Now, it's over. Now can I take out this fixation? Bugging.
American special.
I'm learning some words.
Yes,
now what
just
is the
stand up
question,
and
please?
speak up.
Why do some people lean more to the left side and others to the right side?
What they?
Why do some lean more to the left side and others lean more to the right side?
And some lean to the center.
And some in the centre?
Is there a karmic pattern?
Is there a karmic pattern, he says?
There is, you see, we are made of three gunas. And combinations are there of these three gunas, alright? And those who are tamogunis, more desires they have, the more sort of emotional they are on the left side. Those who are ambitious are on the right side. And those who are wiser are in the center. So it's the temperament with which you are born. It has many reasons. It's the background, it's the things you have come out of it, and what was your education, parents, I mean so many things work it out, your personality. And these three gunas, Tamo, Rajo and Sattva gunas, these three qualities within us work out permutations and combinations of all the people. And that's how we have different type of people. And according to their style, they move to one side and the other. Alright? I will be talking about that also maybe, if I have time, about Tamogun, Rajogun and Sattva.
Can you help people who are in a mental sickness or in a very bad mental state by balancing out this
Can you help people who are mentally sick by balancing these two sides?
Of course, I have helped. I am here to help them.
Can you help schizophrenic, for example?
Schizophrenia?
Of course. No doubt. Americans won't put me in jail for saving these people. My husband told me, don't touch anyone, otherwise you'll be in jail. Of course I can. No doubt.
Could I learn it?
What's it?
Could I learn?
Can she learn it?
Yes, why not? You can. But first of all, you get well. You have to be much stronger. You must learn all the ways and methods, and you can, of course, why not? Even my photograph does. You don't have to worry, you can use my photograph. If they don't arrest me for the photograph, it's all right. They told me you have to be a lawyer in this country to exist, I don't know what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did she have a teacher?
Did you have a teacher?
No.
Any other questions?
I'm born like this. I'm ancient, antique.
Do you mind not disturbing, please?
Loudly. Whatever you say it loud.
Please don't disturb. If you've got a question, specifically ask it, but don't disturb.
What is he saying?
He's just mumbling.
No. You say it loudly, why don't you say it?
No, he's... He's drunk, Mother.
Is he?
Any other questions? Yes.
Well, after Maha disease, will be able to continue in New York?
When you leave, be able to continue in New York, and can they learn how to grow?
Yes, you see, we have got somebody, Herman has not come today, I don't know. Where is he gone, Herman?
He's working.
He's working today. And he has offered his place for working Sahaja Yoga. We actually, you see, we have imported people from London who do not have houses here. And also he's from Australia. But Herman said that he can offer his residence for the use of Sahaja Yoga to begin with. You see, because we don't take, you have to organize it yourself. And we have got here Christine, who is a very old Sahaja Yogini, and she can work it out. We have some other people also who may be coming and going from Philadelphia, and you people could be here. I'll also come back again if you call me. Next year maybe. We all can go to India also. We are going to go to India.
No, December.
December. People want to come to India, we can take you down to India also in December, and we will have a program of how many days?
About 45, 50 days.
About 45, 50 days we'll be passing through villages and all that, and that's to mix up with other people and learn about Sahaja Yoga. It's a very good way of learning about Sahaja Yoga. You see, where you learn how to give realization and imbibe things, and it's a very good way. If you want, you can come along, and it is going to be quite cheap for you. Only you have to pay for your traveling, that's all, and food will be very cheaply arranged, and very good food, we can arrange that. And this time, last time they paid £3 per day, this time they are going to pay £4 per day. And everything can be done. We'll go to different villages and stay there and organize it. It's not going to be anybody making proposition or anything. It's a thing by which you go into simpler places and learn about Sahaja. Because here you see it's very quiet in this place, I feel, but otherwise in New York you have such a horrible signal in business, you know, and all the sounds, and the atmosphere is so much filled with funny sounds all over, and it's horrifying.
Mother, a lot of people have asked about the practices, how they learn the practices of Sahaja Yoga, the various things to do that they have to do, and I think they should all know that you just come along to the group and you'll learn all these things. I too wanted to know how to do it as soon as I got my realization. Sometimes we're a little too keen to know.
But you can tell them how to give, first of all, protection to your aura. This gentleman told me that his aura was disturbed. It's true, your aura gets disturbed. So you get, first of all, a method of, first of all, protecting your aura and how to raise your Kundalini. This method I will teach you today, all right? After realization. What else?
When you spoke of saving the creation during the talk, I quoted on that particular phrase there. Does she mean that the creation is lost?
The creation?
She said of saving the creation.
Yes, I heard the first part. Does she mean?
That the creation is lost, or that it's out of control?
You spoke of saving the creation. He's asking, do you consider that the creation is lost?
Maybe lost. It's not yet lost, but maybe lost. You see, creation, the epitome of creation is you, is the human being, all right? If you are not saved, the creation is lost. You are to be saved, and God has to save it. It is His own creation. You are His creation, and He has to save it. And how did a drunkard come in?
Yes.
Well, I didn't come out quite right where I wanted on that.
Say again.
Does she consider the creation something apart from God, or is the creation God?
Do you consider the creation something apart from God, or is it also God, or what is it?
Acha, now, you see, this is a subject which I have to deal with, all right? What is creation, what is God, how He created you, how we became human beings. It's a big subject, and it's to be handled sometime, and you have to be told all about it. and I cannot just answer it in 5 minutes. But I will. It's a good question and should come to you. But before knowing all these things and details about it, you get your light. Once you have your light, gradually you start understanding. All right?
Yes.
What is the meaning of Sahaja Yoga?
Sahaja. Saha means with, Ja means born. Is born, spontaneous. Sahaja means spontaneous. Whatever is living is spontaneous. You see, whatever happens spontaneously, we don't understand the word of spontaneous also. Means that living expression, living manifestation is spontaneous. Sahaja is born with it. But today, Sahaja has gone as Mahayoga. Means it has become a amas. It works amas. Before it used to work in one person, two persons, you see, like one flower becoming a fruit in the beginning of the tree. But today the situation is such that thousands can get realization. It's Mahayoga. Sahaja Yoga has matured into Mahayoga. Maha means the great. I hope he's back. I hope he doesn't do something to
No,
us.
the caretaker's outside.
What?
The caretaker's outside.
And where is Arun? Is he back?
Anu's back.
But don't deal with these people, Drunkards, I don't know what sort of people they are.
Any other questions?